If you are a student, especially in medical school, and want to teach medicine, I urge you to start without any experience. Just start and then learn along the way. And the beautiful thing about the teaching is that when you teach, you learn more. When you teach, the information that you've learned stays in the brain for a longer period of time, and you can build on that one easier. So teaching is actually the best form of learning.
When we recorded this episode, Taim Dawod was still practicing medicine and building his YouTube channel on the side. Well, since then, a lot has changed. For one, he's almost grown to nearly 400,000 subscribers. He shifted from being a doctor, medicine, creating content, to just creating on focusing on educational content full time. And now he has a film selected for TREF, which is an educational film festival, which is going to be amazing. And I'll be actually one of the keynote speakers this year, which we're super excited about. So what I like about this episode, though, is listening back to what he had to say back in 2024. It's not just growth that stands out, but it's his approach. He actually teaches a lot in a way that he wants to learn. He talks about being very visual and wanting to learn that way. And of course, medicine anatomy, which we talked about during this episode, is very visual. And this has actually been able to scale for him very well. And he's been able to go beyond just using video, but is using video as a primary mechanism to reach out. And if you read some of the comments, and I encourage you to go out, find his YouTube channel. We'll link to it down below. Go read some of the comments from the people who have benefited from this content. I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode as I look back with Taim on his journey from medical doctor to YouTube creator. We've got Taim Dawod, and he's a 29-year-old newly graduated medical doctor from Norway running a medical educational YouTube channel, which was made in the early days of med school. He started his channel during his first year of medical school with an aim to simplify difficult concepts in medicine and to help other people learn in a faster and easier way. With that said, please help me welcome Taim to the Visual Lounge. Well, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate you, bridging time zones to meet at a time after a long day at the hospital. What's one tip that you would give our audience about, making, creating videos that might help them in their work?
Well, I can give tips based on my experience. And I started this medical YouTube educational channel during my medical school, during my first year of medical school. And I started without any background knowledge on how to edit videos and how to teach online, how to make YouTube videos or anything. So I have a lot of tips, but just if I only had one tips I could give is start even though you don't have any experience, because you will learn along the way. That's basically how I did. I just started making my first videos were really bad. Those people who follow my YouTube channel from the beginning, they know how my old videos used to be and how my new videos are. So you basically learn along the way. So start even though you don't have any experience.
I love that, because that's great advice, because that's the only way you're going to get better is by getting going. I'm
Exactly.
curious, and I want to have this conversation because I think you're in a unique position. I don't know personally how many doctors are out there who are also running YouTube channels. I'm guessing there's a handful of you, but it's probably not like a million. It's probably not even 100,000. It's probably maybe 100, couple hundred. And I'm curious for you. You kind of in your intro, it talks about you started this during the early days of med school. What was really your thinking at that point? Because here, I don't know what it's like where you are, but in the U.S., I think of med school it's incredibly challenging. It's got a huge demand on time. It's got all these things that say like the last thing I would want to do is also take on a project to create this content. So tell us a little bit about your thinking about what went into that decision to start.
So the reason why I started is basically it's not the usual reason why you start a YouTube channel. Most doctors who are on YouTube, many teach medicine and many have it as a vlog. So they just film their daily life and stuff like that. I started YouTube not with the intention of becoming a YouTuber. I started first year of medical school, and my brain is very visual. I can't learn if it's only text. and we started with anatomy. I remember anatomy. The university gave us a huge compendium, a huge like pile of a lot of written texts for anatomy. And anatomy is like basically all, it shows all organs. You need to know all the structures on different organs. And there was no way I could read that all of those texts. So what I did was that I took, for example, we had a class on Thursday, and the weekend before, I just read through those notes, and I tried to make a presentation with a lot of pictures. And then just to make things easier for me, I made that presentation. I just recorded it and I uploaded it to a YouTube channel, so that I can listen to myself on my way to the university, or on my way to the gym or anything. And that way, I would passively learn. Basically, I would be ready for the class without spending a lot of hours, studying for the class. So I did that, and over time, I think I uploaded like 30 videos to that YouTube channel. I didn't have any views, but then suddenly I got like my first comment on that on the one of those videos, and then it just struck me. I was like, okay, people can actually see those videos. I didn't know that. So the first ever comment I got was, "Thank you. That was helpful. It helped me for the
Wow.
class." Yeah. And I thought, oh, if somebody actually, are having, those videos are actually helping them, let me, try to make it a little better. Let me continue with that. And so I just did that. I just tried to make the video a little better. I kept making all my videos for free. I just kept uploading them, and the channel just grew from there. And what motivated me to continue YouTube was seeing all the comments of people saying that these videos actually helped them, and that they passed anatomy because of those videos. So that's my story. I didn't never had any intention of becoming a YouTuber. It just happened.
Well, but I love that, right? Because it was born out of a need that you felt and had, and obviously there's so much information that needs to be processed that you were doing it for yourself, but then it ends up helping these other people. So as you started to see that traction grow, like you got the first comment, thank you, and then you can see people saying, oh, I passed anatomy from this. What were again, here you are very busy thinking about, like, you're probably still doing it for yourself for a while to just help you move forward. But what were the things that you kind of keyed in on that said, if I can make this better, that really made a difference for you, or you saw that make the biggest difference for others? Because I imagine you got a lot of trade-offs to make when you're, particularly the videos I've seen your videos, and they're beautiful. You're using bringing a lot of tools together to make those. But what were some of those things you said, hey, if this can't, I got to make this better if I'm going to keep doing this? Anything that stood out to you?
I think one of the big changes early on in the channel was animations. And it's so much easier to explain structures using animations. And I didn't know how to. My earlier videos was just presentations, pictures, and then text, and then I would click on next slide, and so uh, I think once I started trying to animate a little bit, transitions at least,
Mm-hmm.
and changing, views of organs and stuff like that, people said that that's when I started seeing a change to the channel as well. That's when more people started commenting and saying that this was really helpful, and a way for me to see the organ on 3-dimensional view, and it was easier for them to visualize it as well. So learning animations was the big breakthrough for my YouTube channel. If I understood the question correctly, sorry if
Yeah,
I
no, that's
answered
absolutely.
something else.
And what do you think of, like, so obviously seeing things in 3D, was there something about that you think helps from a learning perspective? Particularly, again, we're talking, highly complex systems, and, I got to imagine too, there's so many just like vocabulary pieces to, an anatomy, and then understanding all the structures and how they connect together. Like, there's so much. What do you think about animations made that difference for your audience, versus just, what they were seeing maybe elsewhere, or what they're getting out of their books and lecture?
So the way I make my YouTube videos is that I teach based on how I wish I would learn from
Hmm.
YouTube. So, for example, if the teacher said that next week we're going to learn about the peritoneum, and the peritoneum is, the fat layer that protects all the organs within the abdominal cavity, and if I, for the first time in my life, I heard the word peritoneum, and I go into YouTube and I open a video and I try to make videos based on how I wish that video could teach me, so that I learn
Hmm.
everything. Yeah. So I teach based on how I learn. Uh, and that's basically what I continued on for the YouTube channel. And I learn best with when organs are visualized, and not just visualized with one picture, because in order for me to understand this view of the organ, I need to see the lateral view, the medial view, the posterior view, and that way I have a full um, idea of how that organ not just look like, but how it works as well. So that's why I went try to make a more 3D animated type of videos, because that's how I learn things better. And as far as I understood after doing that, I saw that a lot of other people also learn easier that way. So
Yeah, I love it. So obviously you've been doing this for a couple years. Your channel is, I was looking, you're over 100,000 subscribers, which is amazing. Congratulations on that. Helping, I mean, helping a lot of people who are moving through their medical careers. And I'm curious now that you've kind of moved through and I'm sure you're always learning as a doctor, right? There's always something new. There's always uh, topics that, you have to kind of continue growing in. But now as you're balancing this, you talked about before that you're like, this is what I need to learn and this is how I wanted to learn. As you continue, because you're continuing to do this, what are you considering as like the fodder for the topic, or the material that you're like, oh, I need to make a video about this? How are you coming about those decisions at this point in your career?
yeah, that's a good question, and those are things that I thought about a lot. When I started the YouTube channel, I started it during my first semester, and we didn't have any clinical subjects at that time. We only had like just basic human physiology and basic human anatomy and stuff like that. And I started the channel based on anatomy, and anatomy in our medical school is 1.5 year. And obviously, after a year, I didn't cover everything, and those topics that I did cover was not that great. So later on, when I finished anatomy and started going into the third year and fourth year of medical school, and started having cardiology, neurology, and all of those clinical subjects, I thought, since I started with anatomy, I want to at least finish it. So that's basically what I did. I just went by our school curriculum. And so, for example, we had about the central nervous system, and I started, even though I had a class on cardiology, something completely irrelevant. I just made sure to set aside time to make a video, for example, about the cerebral cortex, and then another video about the internal, parts of the brain, and then I just continued um, through that curriculum. And now recently, that's actually after 6 years of having that YouTube channel, I covered all the subjects of anatomy. Um, and it's not that it took me 6 years to finish it. It just took me 6 years to learn how to animate and learn how to make YouTube videos and learn how to teach,
Yeah.
and all of that package. It wasn't just, anatomy is not that hard. It's not like you need 6 years to it's just like the fact that learn how to make those videos and stuff like that. And there was a point where I actually nearly finished the whole anatomy. I think it took me 2 years, but then when COVID hit, we had a lot of online classes, and I took a project. I thought, let me just, remake all my previous videos, since I have a little bit more experience now. And so that's what I did. It took me 1.5 year to remake all the previous videos that I did and make a more higher quality ones with,
Yeah.
I didn't have any microphone. I didn't have it, so those new videos were kind of with a microphone, with a better visualization, stuff like that. And all my previous videos, I put them, I hid them. It's private.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that I've finished anatomy, now I'm graduated, I finished anatomy. I did make a poll and ask all my viewers, ask my subscribers on what subject they would want to learn first. So we landed on cardiology. And so now, even though I'm not working in cardiology departments, I'm in emergency department right now, surgery. Um, I am planning on covering all the subjects of cardiology, because all subjects are important. As a medical doctor, you need to know, at
Yeah.
least you need to have knowledge of everything. Not that you need to know everything in that subject, but you have a long knowledge of it. So that's what I'm doing. Even though I'm not working with cardiology, I am going to cover all subjects, all the topics in cardiology, and then after that, I will move on to another subject. I will just continue it that way, and most of it is for my own learning, and that is actually a really important point when it comes to making an educational channel. Teach based on have the main your main idea, your main reason why you want to make that video should be for your own learning. um and find ways, teach based on how you want it to be taught. And try to have the idea, yeah, make the videos based, because you want to learn about it.
Yeah. Well,
um,
it doesn't escape me, and I know, from a language perspective, I don't know if this translates super well, but like the fact that your viewers wanted cardiology is really just a matter of the heart. They loved it so much, right from the heart. But
exactly.
well,
Could be.
time I love that process, right? And I love that you're talking like, hey, in educational, particularly channels, it's got to be something that you're interested in. You've got to think about the way you want to learn, because there's obviously a connection there to others who want that as well. Can we take a little time? I want to break down a little bit of what you do, because again, you're talking about these complex topics that obviously there's visuals involved, but could you, at a high level at least, walk us through, let's say you've got your next topic, whatever it might be, maybe it's cardiology related, or maybe it's an anatomy one. And I know you just made a really great video talking about your full process, but for the purpose of our audience, we can link to that video, but just walk us through kind of your start to finish of what goes into making a video. Are you like, you pick a topic and then what? And what leads you to kind of final product on YouTube?
Sure. There's actually, while I've made a lot of videos, maybe over 100 videos, and I never really thought about, do I have any steps on how I make those videos? And since I have I get a lot of comments on asking me, yeah, I want to start a medical educational channel, but I don't know how. Do you have any tips? What programs do you use and stuff like that? And so that's why I decided to make that recent video. And that was actually the first time I ever showed myself as well. I don't really usually show myself. I'm really I'm embarrassed in front of the computer, in front of the camera. But that was a huge project that I took in, and I tried to analyze how I make videos, and I came up with 7 steps on so if you want to make a medical education channel, the medical video, there are 7 steps you should go through. And the first step is plan. Plan the top. What is the topic you're going to present? How are you going to present it? What sources are you going to use? Make sure that you use sources that are up to date, because when it comes to medical subjects, you have to be up to date sources, and either primary sources or secondary sources on. So planning is the first one. Second one is you want to start making a presentation, and I keep it simple. Again, I don't have a lot of experience. I keep it simple. I use PowerPoint, same as we used back in primary school. So PowerPoint. So make a PowerPoint presentation, and PowerPoint has a lot of good animations you can use, and things that you can use to make the PowerPoint presentation pretty well, good looking as well. So make the presentation. The third one is make a script. some people just talk freely following the presentation. I like to use a script when I record. The fourth step is record the presentation using that script, and then edit that recording, and then you need to screencast the after you've just talked. The fifth one is screencast the PowerPoint presentation over the edited recording that you just
Mm-hmm.
recorded, and then the sixth step, I don't know if this was sixth step is uh, edit the video. Add edit the video. I use Camtasia for that one. So edit the video. Add animations, add extra things that could make your video more um, dynamic.
Yeah.
And the last one, the seventh step, is the seventh step is really, if you want to, the seventh step, I use Canva to make a cover image. I try to make a description for the video, try to include everything in the description that the video includes, just to make it easier for the viewer if they want to, a more summarized version. If you don't want to watch the video, you can just go to the description and just read
Right.
what the video covers, basically. So those are the seven steps that I primarily go through.
Well, no, I love that, and I love the simplicity in the sense that you're not overcomplicating it, right? Like, because as someone who, again, making an assumption here that you're super busy, and this is one more thing to do. If it was much harder, becomes a barrier to getting it done, right?
I mean, again, it depends on how you look at it. For me, it's more of a lifestyle, to be honest. I really enjoy making YouTube videos, and the reason why I enjoy it is because I learn a lot from it.
Yeah.
And when I learn something from it, I enjoy it more. So I don't really look at it as work, even though I have long shifts at the hospital, and sometimes I am tired. And when I am tired, I take a break. I make food, I watch series, Netflix, and stuff like that. But I do have personal life as well.
Of course.
But I just make sure to give YouTube at least 1 hour of the day, even though I'm not so efficient during that hour because I am tired. I just give it 1 hour. This, as long as I just write one sentence, for example, I'm happy. So one video can take 1 month, or it can take 1 week, depending on how my energy level is, how much I have to do, and things like that. But I just make sure to keep going, to give YouTube at least 1 hour.
Well, I want to say, I've talked to, I mean, we're probably episode 207 of the show, right? And I've talked to so many different creators and people who are making learning content for corporations. I've talked to YouTube creators who are making, informational type videos and have big audiences. But this is the first time I've heard this approach, and I absolutely love this. And so that, like, because it's very healthy. Like, if you have a scheduled kind of block, I'm going to put 1 hour, and whether you get a sentence or you get a full video or whatever it is, I love that because it's always making progress and you're making effort forward, but what it sounds like is you're not at the end of the day, it's not about, oh gosh, I've got to meet the grind of a video a week or a video a day or whatever it is. And I get why some people need to do that. They feel like that because it's their business model or whatever. But I think that's a really awesome approach to say, like, let's just make some progress, but do it every day consistently. And that gets you to done faster than, not doing anything, right?
I think that's something I want to comment on, because I think every YouTuber, or everyone that make YouTube videos, they have had a time where they feel like they need to upload something. And I really felt that during my last year of medical school, because I had so much to do. We had, like, you needed to write a thesis, and you needed to study for the state exam and stuff like that. So I didn't have a lot of time for YouTube. But during that time, I felt like I really need to push myself to make a YouTube video. I really need to push myself, and that was unhealthy. That was when I started having a negative, approach to the whole making an educational YouTube channel. So I did have a time when, you know, I went, I pushed myself a lot, and I wasn't efficient at all. And the videos I made was not as good of a quality, which I would make usually when I enjoy making the videos. So I have had a time when I really pushed myself, and I figured out that this is not a good way. So you take 1 hour. If it's one sentence, it's fine. If it's you make a whole presentation just doing 1 hour, that's perfect. But if you're not efficient, if it takes you 2 months even to make one video, that's totally fine. Uh, I'm making this channel just to teach and for my own learning as well. And I never had the intention of becoming a YouTuber. I had the intentions of teaching. And so if I start thinking that I need to upload, I have this urge, I need to upload, I need to upload. That's when you start having this unhealthy relationship to the YouTube channel. So I think this is something you need to keep in mind all the time. So even though you don't upload once a week, even though you don't upload once a month, it's totally fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
just keep that mentality.
I love it. Well, we're going to go to our speed round questions, but before we do, you mentioned during our first, when we asked you about the tip at the beginning, any tip that you would want to tell people that maybe we haven't had a chance to talk about yet? Anything you want to mention? We'll get to our speed round and kind of final stuff, but I want to give you that chance before we jump in.
Yeah, so there are a lot of tips I can give. At least I can give you a tip based on if you're a medical student and want to make educational videos, or
Yeah.
if you just want to make educational videos and you're a student or part time next to your work, or the first tip is start even though you don't have any experience, as I said earlier, because if you wait, if you study and study, how are you going to make the video? How are you going? You will never start that way. You will just get discouraged because you feel like you're not good enough. You don't have enough experience. So just start even though you don't have any experience. The next tip I can give you is, even though you don't have any views, just keep going. Have a set of goal. Like, why did you make that video why did you make that YouTube channel to begin with? Is it for your own learning, or is it for if do you have a plan of actually becoming a YouTuber? Have a set of goal and just keep going, and the views will come after a while anyway. So just keep uploading, keep making videos. Don't get discouraged. And of course, while uploading a lot of videos, as I said earlier, when I was in last year, in the 6th year, I did feel like it was a more of a work, not a hobby, and I pushed myself, and I wanted to give up on YouTube. And that is what I think is also a really important point to get across, is don't give up when you're tired. Just keep going. It's okay to take a break, but when you take a break, just keep going back to YouTube. So yeah, and yeah, I have a set of goal. Like, why did you make that YouTube channel to begin with? For me, it was to teach and learn, and that is my primary reason why I'm keep going on the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, wonderful tips and advice. Things I think we can all be better at practicing. Well, Taim, we're gonna jump into our speed round questions. For those who are new to the show or haven't listened to this part, this is where we're gonna play a little stinger, and then we're gonna ask some answers based on a die roll. So let's go ahead and play that, and we'll jump right in. So here we go. All right, we're gonna jump over to our dice cam. So we've got this die here that we're gonna roll, and we've got a couple questions on. Let's see if it can focus. Come on. My camera doesn't want to focus for whatever reason, but I can tell you it
looks like a 5.
It is a
3.
6. There we go. I don't know why. There we go. It's a 6. I don't know what it's doing with the focus, but there it is. So with number question 6, here we go. So this is a share piece of advice. You've shared a lot of advice with us, actually. It's really great. But what's a piece of advice that you've received that has had lasting impact on you? Anything that someone said to you that's kind of changed. It doesn't have to be about video, it could be about anything, but anything that's kind of changed you or shaped you as a person.
Yeah, so I have one thing in mind. I did receive a lot of tips which have changed my life to the better, which I've kept close to my heart. But one tip that really helped me especially during my years of studying medicine, your physical health is as important as studying for your exams, because when you're under a lot of pressure, sometimes you feel like you don't have enough time to you know focus on your physical health. And when you don't focus on your physical health, that impacts negatively on your mental health as well, and you get prone for depression and all of those things. So so one tip that I received was that focus on your physical health. Try to put in at least half an hour, at least 1 hour of workout. And if you don't have time to work out, at least try to eat, or lay off those sweets during those periods that you're not working out, to keep the body healthy. And that's a really important tip, actually, for as a medical standpoint as well, because when the body is healthy, when you're working out consistently, your blood flow increase, gets optimized, your lipid level get optimized, and all of those things, and your blood supply, your oxygen supply to the brain gets optimized as well, which at least optimizes the functioning of the brain. And so I think that's the most important tip that I've received, and I've tried to incorporate it into my life as well. Is try to keep working, keep workout within your daily life.
Well, I love it. So the doctor's orders. We got to go. Make sure you're doing that. I can't promise you to make better videos, but it can help, right? So, well, let's do another question here. I don't know. Again, I don't know why this camera is not working. Hang on. Let's try this again. There we go. It's still blurry. So we're gonna go with blurry, and everyone's just gonna have to trust me. But there we go. We rolled a 12. Okay, so this is the next question for you. Is what's your one go-to tool that helps you get your job done on a regular basis? This could be a piece of software, it could be a physical piece of gear, it could be anything. We'll focus on your video creation side, not maybe your medical side, because I'm sure it's a whole different set of tools. But is there one tool or a piece of equipment that you go to as your go-to?
Yeah, there's one tool that I use for everything, actually. It's a to-do list. It's on an app called Microsoft To-Do List. And what I like to do the day before, so for example, today, I try to plan tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I try to make it as detailed as possible, to the point where I even write what I am going to eat for breakfast and from what time to what time. So for example, I'm going to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and from 5:30 to 5 to 6, I'm going to take a shower and breakfast, and then keep planning my day that way. And it has helped me being more efficient during the day, because sometimes, some days when I haven't planned anything, I try to be efficient, but I feel like I haven't been efficient at all, because everything that I want to do, I haven't had time to do it. So when I have this to-do list, I just check off those points, and at the end of the day, I feel like this day has been a really efficient day because I finished off so many points. So Microsoft To Do, or any to-do list app, I think everyone should at least try to incorporate it into their lives. It has helped me being a lot efficient during my studies and work and YouTube and everything.
I love it. Perfect. Great advice. Let's do one more here. It's still going to be blurry, but that's okay. And we've rolled a 5.
That's fine.
So this time, okay, this is a fun one, because you are a great person of learning, right? So if you could instantly acquire a new skill, just like that, what would that skill be and why? So you get that superpower. You get to pick up one skill perfectly instantly. What would it be?
I've actually, to be honest, I am not a person who picks up information quickly. And I can use my little brother as an example. He's also studying he studies medicine 1 year. So I was in, you know, how was I gonna formulate this one? Um, yeah, my little brother is also in med school, and my if you want to compare my little brother with me, he's a type who only reads a sentence once and he understands it. Like he just sticks in his brain. I have to put in a lot of work. I have to put in a lot of work. I have to study. I have to draw it. I have to visualize it. I have to, I have to do a lot of more. Um, and so, if this one thing I could actually try, wish I could acquire, is learn information just by reading it once or something like that. But
that'd be amazing.
yeah, but then again, if you learn things just straight away, it takes away the hard working part. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Well,
So
we'll
it's
just say your brother gets the benefit of watching all your videos, though. So
exactly. he just reads one page and then starts gaming or something. That's what he does.
he's listening to those videos you made. I can guarantee it.
That's what he does.
Well, Taim, this has been just a wonderful conversation. I appreciate you spending some time with me. Before we wrap up, if someone wanted to go watch your videos, go learn from you, connect with you, where should they go?
So obviously it's a YouTube channel. That's the main page where I upload all my videos. But I did recently make an Instagram account. So if anybody wants to contact me, have questions, want to follow me on social media, I have an Instagram account for the YouTube channel called Taim Talks Med. So go follow it, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, that's
perfect. We'll link to those in the comments and descriptions and all that stuff. So if anyone wants to find those easily, you can. Well, with that said, Taim, again, appreciate you so much. We always like to ask our guests for their final take, kind of that summary, the wrap up for our show. For you, Taim, what is your final take from today's conversation?
Well, just to wrap up what I said earlier, is that if you are a student, especially in medical school, and want to teach medicine, I urge you to start without any experience. Just start and then learn along the way. And the beautiful thing about the teaching is that when you teach, you learn more. When you teach, the information that you've learned stays in the brain for a longer period of time, and you can build on that one easier. So teaching is actually the best form of learning.
Taim, this has been fantastic. I want to thank you again for joining me in the Visual Lounge, and thank you for all the great videos that you make. And as someone who I'm not in the medical field at all, but I do have friends, and I understand how challenging it is. I'm sure there's many people who are very appreciative for all the work you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt, and thank you for inviting me to this channel.
Absolutely, absolutely glad to have you. So, all right, everybody, isn't this awesome? And we talked a lot about medical school and medicine and things like that, but this applies to, you can apply this to any field, the things that Taim is doing, the conversations that he's having, the ways that he's teaching, educating, learning. It doesn't have to be medicine, but he's doing it really well. So go check out his channel, go check out his stuff. And of course, we're all about teaching and educating here at TechSmith as well. We want you to be better. We want you to be better at making videos, better at using images in your workplace, whatever that might be. So we hope that, like and subscribe so you can learn from more great people like Taim. Like and subscribe so you can never miss an episode. And of course, what we really want is for you to take a little time to level up every single day. Thanks, everybody.